Okay, mic check. Make sure that my volume is good. I know I changed the gain on this a little bit, so the direction. Make sure it sounds pretty good. It's probably gonna hit me with a stupid. Just give me a moment here while this loads up. What's going on, everybody? That's a long one. I switch over to the other computer or the other setting to see if my audio is pretty good. There we go. All right, sounds good. All right, what's going on, everybody? It's good to see you. I didn't get a chance to live stream last week, as most of you guys know that follow the channel here and on Facebook, my actual page. We have we drove to Delaware last week, so we were still we were just getting in last weekend when when live stream I didn't get into late, so I do apologize, guys. Everything's good. Let me say hellos to some of my peeps here. What's up, TJ? Scott, good to see you. Guys in green are my members here on the channel. I appreciate you guys for what you guys do. It's a monthly subscription. Appreciate you guys. It's a join button below if you want to check it out. Outside of that, I just appreciate you watching and hanging out with us tonight. Carlos, what's going on? Jimmer, what's going on? So, yeah, let me see here. What's going on, Shelby County? Broncos parts. Just watched the Delaware's video. Looked pretty sick. Yeah, so just to bring you guys up to date, well, one big shout out. Obviously, I just mentioned the guys in green. They're my channel members. Also have channel members over on Facebook. Appreciate you guys for chiming in as well. Big shout out to my sponsors on the wall: McLeod, Tremick, Stifler's Viking, Team Z, Handle Motorsports. Good to see everybody. Appreciate what they do for us here on the channel. Anyways, topic of the evening is junkyard mods. As you guys know, we just did some junkyard digging recently in our last couple videos and it's one thing that the reason why I like to actually bring the live stream back every so often and talk about junkyard mods is because with growth of a channel, you always get you get those new group of people that come in that may or may not know. We got a lot of like the younger generation that are getting into the Fox body Mustangs, and they may or may not know, may not have access to the junkyards, may not even know that there's stuff out there that they can get on the cheap. When they get their builds or their rollers or whatever, a lot of these cars are in project status to begin with, as we all already know that. It's been like that for a while, but I'm always trying to just spread the knowledge as much as I can, specifically about Fox body Mustangs and the mods pertaining to. So that's the main topic of the evening. We're going to talk about the differences between the U-pullets and the traditional stuff that, when I grew up, when we were going to the junkyards or whatever. So we will talk about junkyard stuff the most tonight. It'll be mainly about the stuff that's under the hood. We're going to actually talk about another, when we get into like suspension, and we can get into other mods like brake wise and stuff. So anyways, current events of the channel, like I just mentioned, somebody just mentioned here that we just came back from Delaware last weekend. We were in a stick shift, 28 car stick shift field out in Delaware. We haven't been having very much luck in our own, we had a stick shift no prep series here in Ohio, and our last couple of outings weren't so good for us. Car was ready. Apparently I wasn't. So, big shout out to Tyler Garlock for winning the T56 Magnum November 4th, as he accrued enough points throughout the year to, be able to win that. So, yep, we had a chance to play spoiler that night and we failed. So it is what it is. Anyways, moving on. What's up, everybody? What's going on, Pimp? What's up, everybody? Just brought my Fox into the garage to start the winter work. Yeah, that's where we're kind of at right now with the stuff in Ohio. In the northern states, we call it the build season. There's still some racing going on kind of in the Midwest and in the South, as I think that stuff carries on pretty much all year round. But it's pretty far for us to travel, so it's probably not something that we're going to be doing right now, as we have a lot of work to do here on the channel pertaining to the two engines behind me and the car on the lift right now. So What's up, Mustang guy? What's up, Tim Webb? Good to see you guys. Appreciate you stopping in. So anyways, we ended up going to the Delaware. We had about 28 cars there, and this is like current events, and I'll speak about it towards the end, and I'll show you guys some footage of what happened. But if you didn't get a chance to check the video out, did pretty well. Ended up coming home with the win. You know, sometimes it's just you just got to go out there and shake the dust off when you're not doing so well. You know what I mean? When we weren't doing well at all, and we had one more race in us for the year, and had a chance to spend the weekend with my son too. So it was really cool. He got a chance to travel with me. It's about 8 hours. So like I said, we'll talk about that kind of more towards the end of the current events or whatever. So anyway. So let me catch up here. Junkyard mods. Let's talk about the junkyard in general. Okay, so if you're not like, if you may not have a lot of access. How I want to start this. So here in Ohio, we got quite a bit of access to junkyards. There's junkyards literally everywhere. You got U-pullets and pull aparts, and there's traditional junkyards like pretty much everywhere. Just like racetracks, a lot of racetracks in Ohio. So there's a lot of no prep events here. So we're kind of spoiled because we get to do a lot of stuff here that's that's normally, it might be accessible for a lot of people, like maybe in the Midwest or in the South or whatever. Because I know some people make comments on my YouTube and on my Facebook's like, we don't even have the closest junkyard to us is like 3 hours. So there's like different like types of junkyards. There's like your traditional style that's kind of maybe converted at this point to like carparts.com, where they just sell parts between each other. It's kind of the junkyard where you can come in and look for a part and they'll give you a preset rate. It's not really the type of junkyard that it's not like U-pull-it. The one thing about U-pull-it is that they do a lot of volume. That's a good word to use because they don't traditionally care what's in their yard. They take the fuel fluids out, they take the fuel tanks out, they put these vehicles up on, freaking wheels. You know what I mean? Where they, you can just work on them yourself. And then they have like a predetermined set list. So one of the questions that I got the most was, how the hell did you pull a, we have admission fees here too, usually about $2, but the one question I got the most is that, I call bullshit on the content with the $300 coyote, blah 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 blah. It's the one sitting over here on the stand back here. We pulled a Gen 1, had just over 100,000 miles on a truck that was wrecked, 2013 truck that was sitting at the U-pull-it that had just pulled in about 3 weeks prior to. And the thing of the matter is that junkyard has a preset list of this is how much this shit is. And a complete V8 engine is literally like $296. That's why it was on my thumbnail. And the reason why I want to bring some of this up is you can find, and we're going to talk about these two engines here, one of the best mods you can do, or some of the best mods that you can grab. Like I just got lucky with that, but I mean, they're out there. There's trucks out there, 2011, 2012, 2013. We're at the age now where they're over 10 years old, and you're going to start seeing them. Not going to be common, but you're going to, any junkyard that's kind of unaware and doesn't really care, they may have a U-pull-it like set list of numbers, whole V8 motor, $300, transmission, $200. They don't care. They just want to sell it so they could, they're just scrapping volumes. That makes any sense. They don't really care what they pick off of them. So that's kind of how that happened. We had found it, we pulled it. It would be the same thing that if I went to the junkyard looking for a GT40 motor, and that's what brings me into one of the mods, is the GT40 motor itself. So where this actually means shit is the fact that situationally based, you got a roller. Okay. Speaking to you guys that might have a bad engine, or you're in the middle of an engine build, or you're not sure which direction you want to go. these U-pullets, like I said, just kind of relating to and making a collaboration between the two, you can pick up a GT40 motor out of an Explorer for like $300. Like, so I could have bought either one of the Coyote motor or a GT40 motor that I found for $300. Doesn't matter if it has an intake or not. I mean, it's usually if you pull it, you get the whole damn thing from intake to pan. And that is your best bang for buck, period. And the reason why I say that is if you're in the middle of a build and you're in the middle of like, hey, I need another engine or I want another engine, honestly, you go out there, and I talked about it a little bit in my video of the Coyote video where I found it in the junkyard. Just pull the shit. Like, get your wrenches out, get your buddies out. They got equipment there that you can roll they have these like big, like come along things or whatever. And you can come there with your come alongs and get all these engine stuff like literally loose and cut out or whatever with sawzalls, and you can pull the damn engine out. They'll come over with the forklift, picked it up, and put it in your truck. And it's $300. So let's say you got the Explorer engine for $300. You don't even have to unseal the damn thing. You can just you can just take the front end. I mean, and I'm talking specifically about my U-pullets, but there might be different all over the United States, but a lot of the U-pullets are here in Ohio are franchises, so they have them like all over the place. But to be honest, if you had a GT40 motor, even if you found it on Facebook Marketplace, you could take the whole front out, the front accessories off. You could put the front accessories from your Fox body on. You could put your pan on. You could leave the long block and the intake together and just start working your way through to make it like literally just convert over to a Fox body. So it makes for a great engine. Inside of it, not only do you have the GT40 heads, but not only do you have the, you basically have a 93 motor, because 93 was the first year for the hyper-eutectic pistons in the Fox body, but they used them in 94, 95 and the SN95, plus they used them in the Explorer block. So you basically have like a 93 block, and you got the GT40 heads already on, you got the intake already on. The camshaft's not even that bad. It's like a 422, 448 lift, which is pretty much the same as a regular Mustang camshaft. So you just convert all the accessories over, change some vacuums, change some throttle body stuff, and you're sitting on a, already upgraded motor for like $300 or whatever the yard costs. You know what I mean? So it definitely makes a difference. Let me go through I'm convinced Foxes have reached the point to collect ability where you won't see them in yards. I haven't seen a Fox. I mean, you'll see them in yards once in a while. But usually by the time they get to the yards, they're either a 4-cylinder with red interior and completely destroyed, like the one in my thumbnail, or, you're not going to see a GT. If you see a GT, it's already somebody who had, parts only parting out on Facebook Marketplace and kind of already knows what they're doing with it. So my junkyard is 20 minutes away. No Foxes, mostly new edges. Now, see, the new edges, and we're going to talk about this in another live stream just to kind of keep up with the pace of what we do here on live, is talk about these junkyard mods. But we're going to focus tonight on the under hood mods, and because there's a lot of junkyard mods that you can pick up, and specifically information that's useful for those, like I said, that are just starting with a roller or just starting with a new build or whatever. So I try my best to try to share the knowledge as much as I can. I got a question, and of course there's a bunch of knowledgeable people here in chat, so they're going to chime in and we're going to talk about it. I got a question on deleting an EGR and smog, as far as what you need to block off vacuum line and what do you need extra connections to. Okay, so when I delete my EGR and my smog, the only real vacuums that I have is to my fuel pressure regulator and vacuums to my vacuum tree, which also goes over to the power booster and feeds my wastegate and feeds my blowout valve. I think that's pretty much it. But some people, you'll need the check valve for the dash if you're running heat. So it's pretty much outside the fuel pressure regulator. If you're deleting EGR and smog, you're gonna still want to run a vacuum to your dash box. There's actually a vacuum hose that comes out with the entrance and exit for the antifreeze that goes to your heater core. There's like a little vacuum hose area that needs to get vacuum as well. So if you run a heater box and you run heat, that's going to be one of the other 2 vacuums that you're going to need as well. So outside of your pressure regulator. What's up, Hannah Motorsports? Good to see you, man. Appreciate you. No BS with the Coyote as a Y-Town. You pull it free. Yeah, They literally do not care about their inventory, and they're starting to feed late model cars into the lot. That's correct. So Carlos here on the channel has been following us for a while. He also picks from the same, I don't go to Youngstown very often. Like I'll go just to shoot some videos to walk through every so many months. I know he goes to and picks pretty often. And this is just, we're at the age right now with the trucks. You probably won't see Mustangs there for right now, probably another 5 or 10 years before you start really kind of seeing those, because there is a sister company that's part of at least that you pull it. And that's pretty frequent with the other ones as well. There's another company that takes kind of the more rare exotic cars like Mustangs and such, Challengers, Chargers, whatever, and they'll take them to another yard and they'll actually piece them out themselves, which only makes sense. But trucks are going to get, since the Coyote was in the truck, as well as the 351 Windsor, which they don't really care about 351 Windsors, obviously. They're too old, I guess. Yeah, you're going to start seeing Coyotes more in the junkyards here very shortly. Dean passed away? Are you serious? I was just talking to him like 2 weeks ago when I got this Coyote motor. Wow. I'm sorry to hear that, man. He was a good dude, man. Dean was a good dude. He knew salvage, and he knew that POS system out there pretty good. Trent Dog, I got a 97 Explorer 50 on eBay for $300 delivered to my driveway. What's up, Super Dave? Good to see you, my man. You used to be able to go through the junkyard and take what you want at my junkyard, but now you're not allowed. You tell them what you're looking for, and they will get it. So that's kind of like where the traditional model was. I grew up in the 90s picking from junkyards. You didn't really get, you weren't really allowed to go into the back and see any of the inventory. And one of the coolest things about the 90s that I could remember, I mean, you're talking about, 25, 30 years ago, is you got, considering the timeline that was on, I was able to see a lot of really old shit, like old Camaros and old Firebirds. It wasn't uncommon to see a whole section of just 60s and early 70s stuff. And it was just wonderful to walk through. It was like a damn time capsule. I wish I could go back and walk through some of the junkyards that I walked through before, that allowed me to go back there. This is before Explorers, GT40 stuff. I mean, this is right when, like, when Fox bodies were still kind of newish. They were barely 10 years old. Yeah, that's some good shit, man. There was just walking through and just see. Sometimes it was just fun to walk through just to see what old shit was there. It was crazy. That's a traditional style model, though, where they'll pick the part, they'll price the part, they'll pull it for you, and they'll warranty it for 30 days if you got an issue, like wheel bearings and all that other shit. But you started getting into pull-its and pull-apart stuff in like the early 2000s. Probably been out for about good 20 years now. And, it wasn't real frequent here in Ohio, but it was kind of the model that a lot of the junkyards are going to, because it's, you can get more scrap volume and make more money, and people can pick their own shit. What's up, Nathan Tuck? Good to see you, brother. Can't say, all right, man. I appreciate you coming in. What's up, Lamar? We were just actually working on your Moda. If you guys remember, Lamar bought a motor from us. Probably it's been a while now. Took a while to get some parts and just timing with my man Dave over there at the machine shop, but ended up getting most of it back together. I know we're making some shit up now, but my 408's over there on deck to get messed with. But Lamar's engine's got to get done first, so look forward to doing a video on that this week. We're also going to be doing another video about the 387 and going back over there. What's up, BBQ 5.0? What's up, James Williams? Most yards that aren't pull it cost way too much these days. Yeah, especially the LS stuff. It's kind of funny because I went to Delaware and we went, we had that stick shift event, which was, there was like 70 small tire there. There was like, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more towards the end, and then I'll show you what we got, what we won or whatever. But, anyways, there was a guy that had a trailer. There was a guy that was selling engines that was from the salvage yard locally there. He had like, I don't know if you watched the video, but he had like 15 LS motors like sitting on this trailer. like, I get it. I'm not an LS, LS is a great engine, but it's not for my Fox bodies. It's a good GM engine, whatever. But like, he was selling them, the prices of them were just ridiculously cheap. And I just couldn't believe how much, I guess a 4.8 and 5.3 only go for like $500. That's crazy. That's crazy cheap, man. Wish I seen that with GT40 motors, man. I'd have been like, man, I'm gonna get them all. They're starting to feed in 3 valves S197s into the lot. Stock bottom N302. What do you got here? Stock bottom N302 with E303 trick flow intakes. What heads budget wise would I go? Trick flow 170s, AFR and I think there's enforcers that are pretty good budget. If you can get a set of good rebuilt GT40s, that would be fine for that. Stock bottom end 302 is only going to move so much air. GT40Ps actually are really good for stock bottom end because of the port velocity, especially with a nice little cam and some springs. Crazy Ray's Junkyard is one of the best in DC, Maryland, Virginia. Is that who that was? Just got a lot of SN95 parts for my build, 20% discount this weekend. So a lot of yards, if you pay attention to some of the junkyard stuff, and I actually was, somebody had mentioned this in my chat. Sometimes they'll have days like on a Tuesday where it's like $80 if you fill a, if you fill a damn, wheelbarrow up, it's $80 for whatever you can put in the wheelbarrow. It's kind of crazy. You can put a whole engine in there. Kingsman Racing. Question, will an FMU on a stock A9L with turbo work? Absolutely. Donnie B's probably here in chat somewhere if you got any more questions about that, Kingsman. He actually, Donnie B at Anderson Ford Motorsports hooked us up with Dad's car's FMU, which is sitting right outside the door here. We've been kind of tinkering with it. He sold us a Vortec one. We ended up messing around with it. Trying to catch up here, guys. All right, let me go get my whiteboard. So, if you're new to the channel, haven't seen this shit before, God, this got all dust on it, man. It's been too long, boys, since we put the shit up. This old whiteboard, man. It's been too long. Trent Dog, FMU is a fuel management unit. Look at that, boy. It's been a while, huh? There we go. So that's how we did this. What is all that shit? You guys remember that one? Oh, you know what? We did a live stream, a couple months ago where we said, when I'll go over this real quick, what are some of the things that Fox Body could have done better, like back in the day? What would have been some cool shit for the Fox Body back in the day? Here, I'll go over it real quick if you guys want to see it. I'm going to use red, I think. Is red too light? No, it's good. I got to clean it off. So we started talking a couple months ago on a live stream because I always like to do like a working live stream where we're kind of like, instead of just, talking shit and, and just, hanging out or whatever, we can still talk, some shit and have some fun in the chat and talk about Fox Body stuff. But I like to actually, have like a theme to it. So for you guys that are new to coming into our live chat, like I said, about a month or two ago, we did a, what if you could change something on Fox, if you could go back in time and change something on a Fox Body to make it better, what would it be? And then, a lot of, this is all you guys. So for the most part, a 351 option, allowing a tilt to go all the way to 93, 5-lug option, a cup holder in the console, T-tops through 93. For you guys that don't know, 87 and half of 88 was the only years for the Euro nose, which is the year that I usually mess with the most for T-tops. So, and they only had, and the LX one was even more rare, but GM guy here, with my first supercharged notchback. Just wanted to say thanks for your knowledge about the cars. It's insane. I'm hooked. Dude, I appreciate you stopping in. LS is definitely a badass motor, but you know, if I did an LS, it would 100% be, you know, in like a G body, or you know what I mean. It would be in like an IROC or something. It would be kind of cool to bring to the, you know, the channel, but probably on something like a different type of channel. You know what I mean? Ed Palmer, Dan, thanks for your videos. I've upgraded to an Explorer intake GT40P heads, 65 millimeter throttle body on my speed density. Nice. It certainly has made. Okay, so I want to make reference right here because we're going to be talking about that very thing right there. If you got a speed density car, 86, 87, 88, half of 88, whatever, just sticking one of the things about the computer that's very important is it does not like camshaft changes. Now, they did make some camshaft upgrades for speed density specific cars. I actually put a factory Cobra one in my dad's speed density car, but it's turboed with an FMU, so it's going to run the way it runs anyways. But I've noticed, I mean, when before dad's car was boosted, where we created a turbo kit. If you go back in my channel, which all that shit's still relevant, you know, just putting an intake on, just putting the rockers on, and just putting the GT40 heads on. My dad's car, which is like 3,200 pound LX, went from running like a 1420 to like a 1330. I think we cut a whole second off of it, and it's not caged. We did end up putting subframes in. I think the best time we got at it was like a 13.1. I don't remember. Cousin Paul's in here. He could tell me because I think he ran the time. But so, anyways, rear gear choice should have been an option. Vert styling bar, the GT40 package, which we're going to talk about here in a second. Bigger door mirrors, gas cap light, aluminum drive shaft. The GT350 model up to 93. Like, I don't know why they didn't make that thing more than just like 83, 84. It doesn't make any sense. Cobra more than 1 year. Well, 94, 95, but like Fox body Cobra, maybe 92, 93. Because there's a lot of things 92, 93 that are all shared between a Cobra and a regular GT. Vert Cobra. Now, here we go about that, right? Better headlights, maybe one piece or maybe two piece where the inner part of the middle. Digital cluster, sunroof, headliner. What do I mean by that? Rear disc option and ECU relocated. So that's some of the shit that we were talking. I'm about to erase it. That's what I'm talking about. So some good stuff, man. That was all pretty much y'all. We did about 25 things that can be changed, and that's just a little bit. But yeah. Trying to catch up here. Is the old Paxton the one that has injectors on the charge pipe? What? I agree with that, Scott. I agree with that 100%. They should have kept running with the Capri. For those of you guys that don't know, the bubble back Capri in 86 was like only a half a year EFI. And they should have at least ran it to 87, maybe 88 when like maybe the turbo coupe finished or whatever. You know what I mean? They could have ran that Capri 5.0 for a couple years. That would have been dope. But, you know, to each their own. It's just the way it is, brother. 86, I think most all the Capris minus the half a year 86, which is the same thing that happened to the Mustang. You know what I mean? Was all speed. That, you know, that was the only year it was EFI. Only half year for that matter. I don't know. Build date, I don't know. Build date's probably in December. October, November, December. Whatever. So appreciate that. Hanlon Motorsports been part of the membership for 26 months. Wow, that's a long time, brother. 2.5 years. I think you were one of my first members. You and Nathan Tuck. Nathan Tuck was just in here. Man, Man Gear 50, the Predator. There's a number of guys. That's pretty dope. Appreciate you guys for supporting the channel, man. And Handler Motorsports is one of our main sponsors here on the channel. Anyways, top 10. Here we go. We're about 30 minutes in. Only got about an hour and a half to talk some shit with you guys here on a Sunday. So we're going to get ready to work. We'll talk a little bit towards the end about the 387, and then we'll talk about the race that we just had. So these are not in any specific mod, like when I do live streams, we just brainstorm and we just put that shit down on the board, bro. So, and we're only going to do 10 on the board. That way they're big enough so you can see it. So we're going to be focusing on underhood junkyard mods. So if you're walking through the junkyard, you have, like this past video, we seen a, I think it was a 95. If you see a 94, 95 Mustang, matter of fact, if you're just on Facebook Marketplace and you see a 94, 95 Mustang and you want to get like, here's one mod that is, I'm going to hit you guys with a curveball right off the bump, right off the bump. And no, I'm not talking about no spindles. Now, this is under the hood. SN95 fuel rails. Let me tell you what. If there's one thing when you start creeping in at about 500 wheel horsepower that we had an issue with the GT40 stuff that we did here on the channel, some of you guys are here from, subscribe to my channel because you see my black car running like a stock bottom end junkyard build. Guys, that was 100% legit. I took that damn motor apart here on the channel. We built a flipped piston production block, GT40 heads, stock cam, 172 Cobra rockers, which are still a factory rocker from Crane, GT40 intake. We went 10.09 at 139, 138 with the black car. I think that was our best time. The car still weighed like 3,400 pounds. So the power was there. Was we pushing it? Yeah. But one of the issues that we had was fuel rails. Like we were running stock fuel rails with a stock regulator. And SN95 fuel rails is actually an upgrade to the Fox body fuel rails that we have currently right now. They hold more fuel and they're a bigger line. So, you can feed more fuel to your rail and it not, when you start making more power through factory rails, you start emptying the rails and the car starts going lean. So it really leans on the regulator. And, at this day and age, we got pumps that'll put the, if you do the wire mod, you do the wire mod like we did on the channel, you can get the fuel to the rails, but it's just going to empty the rails because they're just not big enough. So one of the best, most needed, you start making boost, you don't want to buy, aftermarket fuel rails. Go find this shit. You could probably get them for like $20. And here's the even better part. You can, those how you can make come on, help me out here. The injection, you know what I mean? The injection, the repair plastic hoses, you can make them to even fit a 351 at that point. So consider, brainstorm here. If you got a 351 like a production block, or you got some junkyard shit and you're out of injector or you're out of your fuel pump, it's upgrade your fuel rails. Try that first before you get crazy with upgrading, like, buying the aftermarket fuel rails where you start getting into the fittings and then, yeah, you see what I'm saying. So Explorer rails won't work, Scott. We have a set here somewhere. Actually, they're in the basement over at the shop. So the Explorer rails won't work. This is the best, one of the best underhood mods that literally are cheap and mean nothing. Like you can make the SN95, and this is specifically aimed at those folks that are trying to boost their application, because even in stock rails will get you into the 500s. But if you're already at that point, it's a cheap budget mod. You're already going to be messing with fuel rails. It's something that you can 100% get for cheap-ish. I'm surprised that, they're that cheap. I mean, I think that's one thing on a Fox body. That's what we're going to do to Dad's cars. We got a couple sets of them that we've had for years. Never even knew what they were until somebody told me. And there's actually YouTube videos out there that actually do the conversion. So look up, there's a couple of them out there. a couple good junkyard dig channels that'll show you how to put them in. So appreciate that, Hanlon gifted memberships. So number 2, I'm gonna let y'all pick number 2. Hopefully I got enough room. Whatever, we'll write sideways. Wrote a little bit big for the first one. What's number 2 under the hood? Junkyard mod. GT40 heads. Figured that one was coming. Okay, so we start getting into the GT40 heads. Obviously it's probably the best bang for buck, period. You could pick up GT40 heads for like $100, $150 if you pull them from U-Pullets. There's a little bit of core on them or whatever, but undoubtedly the best bolt on. So isn't the whole engine. So like if you have the opportunity to get the whole damn engine, and let's just say the yard wants, I don't know, $150 for the set of heads, $200 if they pull them. Ask them how much they want for the whole damn motor. I mean, if it's like $400, it's well worth your time, because you could pull the intake and the heads off of that motor and the injectors if they're the yellow 19s, which we'll talk about. And you could probably sell that short block for most of the money on Facebook Marketplace and get most of your damn money back, especially if it's a good, clean one. I mean, if it looks pretty good inside and looks like it's a good either rebuildable core or one that somebody they can put in their truck if it's blowed up. Everybody's always looking for engines. So consider the fact next time you're at a yard, next time you see a 5.0 Explorer, and it's not a U-Pull-It type of yard, it's a traditional type of yard, ask them how much you want for the whole damn motor. $400, $500, no problem. You could probably get at least half of that or more just on the short block and be able to keep the heads in the intake and have them for an upgrade. So GT40 heads, whether it's P or 3-bar, definitely probably one of the, if not the best, number 1 mod in the junkyard. So that's number 3. This should be pretty obvious. We were just talking about it. What's number 3? I get chat lag here, guys, so I gotta wait for it. Okay, so number 3 for me, for on the list, is going to be the GT40 intake. We'll get to it. We'll get to that one. We'll get to that one. NJC Fox. So there's an EGR. Okay, they make 3 different types of GT40 intakes, and right behind me you see the Explorer one, and behind it you see the tubular. So there's 2 sitting right there. They also make an Explorer version of a GT40 intake. Now, there's debate whether that's actually a GT40 intake, whatever. One way, shape, or form, it is what it is. There's 3 different, all 3 of those upper intakes all share the same exact lower, for the most part. The non-EGR version of the intake doesn't have the boss to drill out to put the IAT in like we have in our Fox body Mustangs. Also, it has an external EGR, not really that big of a deal. A lot of the Explorer intakes have, I don't know, a lot of vacuums that need to be cleared. What I like to do is I just cut them out and have Dave weld them. You only need, 1 or 2 good ones in the back. And, well, one goes to my fuel pressure regulator. The other one goes to my heater box if needed. And then you got the big one that goes over to the vacuum block, right? So all the other ones can be chopped off and welded. You don't want to put like just a screw in them or whatever. Just have it done right. You get one, just take it to somebody who can TIG weld aluminum. Have them just plug up the holes. That way you can use them on your Fox body and not have a big deal. So GT40 intake, EGR, non-EGR, number 3 for sure. And you can get this shit for like $60 at a boneyard. Heads for like $150. Might have to pull the whole damn motor. SN95 fuel rail, like $20. Come on. Come on. Go to a swap meet and find out. So number 4, somebody had mentioned it earlier, and I'll get to some of you guys. Yeah, that's the one we just did, Adam. GT40. Boosted GT40. Yep. Good, good. NJC, the Explorer injectors. Good. So, stock application. One of the things that the original or the factory Fox body stuff actually suffers from is the fact that the injectors, the kind of the old fatty style injectors, the EV1s, only have like one sprayer. It doesn't atomize very well. I mean, it works just fine for the most part, but the Explorer injectors have a four spray pattern on the tip of the 19-pound injectors. And these injectors are actually in 4.6s as well. So they're not only in the Explorer 302, they actually share that with like the V8 96, 98, 4.6s, and I'm pretty sure New Edge as well. So having a pair of these, I mean, they usually come on the intake for $60. You know, you can usually pick them up pretty cheap for like 50. And it's an upgrade for your, if you're going to stay with the stock style injector. Now, let me explain something too as well. You don't, even with aluminum heads, a GT40 intake and or an aftermarket intake and just a mild cam, that motor's only going to make power. I think it's going to peak around 5,300, depending on what camshaft you have, which most of them is going to be like E3, B303, all that other shit, N41, which is really good camshaft, Anderson cam. But you're probably not going to max out the 19-pound injector. If you look in my channel, we do a lot of shit, tech shit. You know, you guys already know that. We didn't max my dad's turbo application out, which was all speed density and FMU, which is pretty base bone stuff from like the 90s. We didn't max those 19-pound injectors out at 6,000 until it hit about 350 wheel. And I explain something to you. And it goes hand in foot with what's going on with these Explorer injectors and the reason why I'm kind of spending a little bit of time with it. Explorer injectors, the factory ones, if I remember correctly, they started capping out at around 325 on my dad's turbo budget GT40 engine we got here on the channel. As soon as we switched over to the Explorer injectors, we gained about another 10%, whether that's just from the injector style and the way it sprays or whatever. Needless to say, on a stock bottom end style application where you got, you know, heads, cam, intake, and some exhaust, sounds good, runs good, feels good, your 19-pound injector is probably going to do everything it needs to do. You keep that car, you know, shift that car at about 6,000 RPM. You know, ask me how I know. Just leave it at 6,000 RPM. That motor will live there forever. Don't go any further than that, and your 19-pound injector will work just fine, which is nice because you can just calibrate with an aftermarket like 75 millimeter mass air meter and not, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is it doesn't really help you at that point to go to 24s. I don't even like the 24s. Like you just go right to 30s or 42s, but that's usually in something that's kind of boosted or whatever. 19-pound injectors cap out pretty much at about 350 wheel on a Mustang dyno, which means that a stock bottom end motor would struggle to get anywhere near that. Does that make sense? Even with an HCI combo. I'll get off my soapbox. My bad. A lot of folks, you know, I've seen it over the years, the last 20 years at the dyno, you know, they come in with 24-pound injectors. And we even did another video about that. You know, what's the, you know, if we put 24-pound injectors in a calibrated MAF on, we did it on a GT40 motor, which was an experiment here on the channel. You know, it didn't really make us, we didn't make any more horsepower. And the injectors just allowed us to make more fuel if the horsepower was needed. You see what I mean? But it was a stock block, long tube, GT40 intake heads. You know, the thing made 280, you know, 280, 285, 290, which was really good for that combo. And the 19s were happy. Nothing was lean. Car ran really good because the original computer was calibrated at 19s. You see what I mean? So 216 amateur. Paid $650 for the entire GT40 motor out of a yard. Run strong. Hell yeah. Yeah, Bob, we're not talking about the this is everything under the hood right now. Now, you start getting into cooling. I've been actually looking, and we just actually found one at the yard over there at the U-Pull in Youngstown. Start talking about fans. Okay. There's really only 2 fans that you even really want to pay attention to. Now, actually 3, because I think, was it Mark 7 or is it Mark 8? I don't have my notes with me. I think it's Mark 8, isn't it? Mark 7. We're gonna put the fans all in one for the most part. Well, we'll put them in 2. In my opinion, the contour fan, 100%. You get them for like $30. They pull some pretty good amps, but you can put them on a switch, on a dual relay setup, on whatever. We've got it hooked up on my dad's car. Shit cool, so good. We don't even have one of the fans hooked up. These things, aftermarket, do not flow the same. Junkyard contour fans are superior to aftermarket fans. I said what I said. I did a whole video on it. Guys, I'm telling you, I'm not making this shit up. I've been doing this for years. Been doing YouTube for years. We got a bunch of stuff. If you're curious, go check out the stuff that we got here in the mod playlist. We got a whole playlist about this stuff. You know, I did a contour video where I was super excited to put the Dorman or the aftermarket ones that you get from some of these resto sites into Dad's car because the contour fan died. And I did I hooked up a power source to both fans, and it was a complete noticeable difference between the 2 fans. 100%. What do you say? Did you on third? Yeah. So that's exactly what I was talking about. So hold on 1 second, Gabe. I'll get to that. So contour fans, you know, you could run a power source and a relay to one fan, and a power source and a Keon to another fan, which is what we did with the like dual relays. I think my Keon was from the old Smog harness, and I think my Keon over here was from the AC because we don't run AC on Dad's car. So the ignition on and the 2 power sources came from 2 different complete areas. That way, if one fan failed, it didn't lose the power to the other fan. Anyways, probably one of the better. Probably the best fan, but there's 2 other fans to keep in mind, and there's one I'm going to actually tell you about that's really cool. I don't think I have one. I have one, but it's upstairs in the parts. So I'm going to put Taurus fan. You can get that for like $30. The thing about the Taurus fan is it's like 18 inches. I think it's an 18-inch blade, so it's a large blade. Here's the coolest shit about the Taurus fan. You could take the Taurus fan and flip it upside down. You know what I mean? Where the blade is over to the passenger side. And you can actually physically mount the overflow bottle to the actual Taurus fan. And it looks like the shit was meant to be there. Like it literally fits in there. I mean, you got to do a little bit of fabrication, like, create like, mounting points. But if you take the Taurus fan and flip it upside down and you install it on the front of your radiator with whatever install kits that you use, you can literally put I guess if you didn't get contour fans, Taurus fans would be 100% my next thing for you to look for because of that very reason. I mean, you could have a Taurus fan in the front of your radiator, and we've been doing this for 25 years, guys. You know, the Taurus fan in the front of your radiator with that overflow bottle, man, it just looks like it's supposed to be there, bro. So it's really cool. Mark 8 fans runs cherry, and 24-pounders may be unnecessary, but if you already have there in the yard, correct. So 24-pound injectors would be found if you're going to look for them, and I'm going to go ahead and put them in here. They're in SHOs. What else are they in? But the problem with SHOs, aren't they just V6s? I think they're also in the Super Coupes, but like, again, you're not going to really find a lot of Super Coupes in the yard. I think Super Coupes actually had 30s as well. So contour fans are 96 to 01. Taurus fans, shit, I don't remember. It's been so long. Go over to Corral.net, that actual website. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, we've been building, we've been putting information on Corral.net for like 30 years. So there's so much shit on that website for you guys to dig through when you're looking for tech stuff. There's a whole tech section. I'm telling you, man. It's got a whole, I think there's one pin still that's just got so many junkyard mods on it. It's ridiculous. Troy Prescott, I got dual contours and a Dakota digital controller. I can sit in traffic in 95-degree weather, and the Turbo Fox won't even come close to getting hot, right? See, that's what I'm saying, James. I'm telling you, I think contour fans is superior for cooling. I run the contour fans on all my cars. Dad's car, cousin Paul runs it on his car. Matter of fact, I think cousin Paul runs the Taurus fan. And then he did exactly what I just told you to do. He flipped it. So I'm going to take a picture of it and show you guys. I mean, it's not that hard to see, but you know, if you see if you actually had a Taurus fan in your hand and you flipped it, you would see there's a little area. It's like an area for the overflow. It's pretty dope. So 24s, Taurus fan. I'm going to put the Mark 8 here as well because it's kind of the same scenario. SN95 had a pretty good fan as well. It wasn't terrible, but it's not really something, you know, if you Taurus fan, contour fan, and Mark 8 fan, you would find those before you would anything else. So you would find those before I think you find an SN95 fan, I would imagine, because the SN95 was only 2 years. So number 7. I would put 24s. Let's just put 24s. Yeah, we could just put them. I don't know. I don't necessarily would want, like, again, I don't even really like 24s because they don't even go that much further for fuel. So like 30s with nitrous. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Gabe. I think you ran those for years. That's what you were just saying. Skip the 24s. We ran 540s naturally aspirated in Pure Street 20 years ago, 30 pounds. See? Shit worked, guys. What NJC? Should I use 24-pound injectors that I got for free from my buddy for my 98 Cobra, or just buy 30s? 30s. Skip 24s. The 19s will get you as far. You'll cap a 19. When you cap a 19 out, just go right to 30s or 42s, especially if you got a tuning ability. I got a Mark 8 fan mounted on Mark 8 Rad factory. What year Taurus? What year Taurus was that, guys? Somebody help me out here. It's been a while. The Contour is 96 to 01. I think the Taurus was the early 90s, and I think it had to be a V6. Same with the Contour. It has to be a Duratec 2.5. So when you look at it, Mercury Mystique was a 97 to 01 as well. So Ford Contour, Mercury Mystique, 96 to 01-ish. It's got to be a 2.5 Duratec. So, well, 30s you can get in a junkyard, Tim Webb. Not common, but they're there. I mean, if you happen to find a Super Coupe, which I found a dozen of them or so. Only 6 of them, though. That's a good one, man. I actually am going to put that on there, TJ. Good looking. SN95 Hydro Boost, and since this is under the hood, good idea. So, SN95 again, here we go. Booster plus master. Guys, I still run, you're going to laugh at me, but I still run the SN95 booster and master on my white car behind me with strange brakes. I have no problem stopping. It doesn't have a problem stopping at 154, whatever. I think it's the most. I think it's fastest we went, 155, 154. You know, car doesn't go out the back door like it should. It should be at the 158, 160 range. But the turbo's, you know, the turbo's out of steam, which you guys already know. So, but yeah, the since this is under the hood, SN95 fuel rails we were just talking about, that master cylinder and that brake booster, excellent. Pick them and go. That's also should be, you know, we're going to talk about spindles. We're going to revisit the brakes and the suspension and the shit in the junkyard that I talk about in some of my videos here on live stream. And we're going to revisit that as well and get that pretty cheap. What cars have 30s? Super Coupes. If you guys see a Ford Thunderbird Super Coupe, you probably should pull that motor. But if you're going to take the injectors out, they're all 30s, I'm pretty sure. So it is what it is. Turbo from a 5.9 Cummins Ram and an intercooler from a Volvo. Oh, that's a good one. Check this out, Super Dave. Thanks for reminding me. I don't know what years this is, but there are some turbos that you can pull and some intercoolers that you can pull. One of the things that Super Dave just kind of reminded me of is there's a mod, and I haven't done this yet. And this, I guess you would call this under hood mod. And I'm going to go ahead and put it on the list, even if we go past 10. I don't give a shit. Number 8, and like I said, none of this shit's in numeric order, whatever. But Volvo electric power steering pump. Apparently, this is a pretty badass little mod, especially for those folks that still want to run power steering, that don't want to run the belt drive. Kind of like me, I don't run power steering on my white car, but I could legitimately, if I was to switch racks, because I'm pretty sure that Flaming River and some of the aftermarket racks actually have an option for a power steering, power steering. I guess this doesn't weigh much. And it's an electric power steering pump, and it's a mod that some people use on Fox bodies. I've seen it on YouTube. I've actually know a couple of people that's done it. That's definitely a mod that I might consider doing on my black car, just because my black car is my street car, so that's gonna be something that's kind of different. And I got to change that rack soon anyway, so that would kind of give us a reason to do that. Chime in if anybody has done that. Are we going to revisit the Brimbos? Yes, we are. My Fox came 5-lug swap with Cobra style brakes. I think I got bearing going bad, but I don't know the hub bearing to buy SN95 or Fox. SN95. I'm hearing a popping coming from the exhaust. It's a 94 GT with heads cam intake. That's a timing issue. It's either vacuum or timing. Yes, we are. So let me know if you chime in if you guys have, or even if you watch this on the podcast tomorrow, because I usually set this stuff up for podcast the next day. Let me know if one of you guys did the Volvo the electric power steering pump, and let me know if that's something that you would consider. That's where we're at next. You're right, Bob. Here we go. Number 9. Now, this would kind of go in shape with the GT40 intake. But number 9 is 65 millimeter throttle body mod. Listen, this mod is freaking free if you get it with the intake. Legit. If you got a Fox body, and we've done this here on the channel, if you got a Fox body like throttle body, hold on a second. Let me see if I got it. So I just so happen to have a couple old Explorer mods or old Explorer throttle bodies here. So if you get a GT40 Explorer intake, okay, if you get an F6 or an F7, like you can see the number here, whatever, I can't do that shit right. It's a sticker right here. This is a direct replacement to now hold on a minute, you gotta modify it. But this is a direct replacement. I did a video on this, and so did a couple other people on YouTube. You got to turn this tube around to face just like the return for the passenger side vacuum or valve cover. But if you took the armature out of the middle here, and you had to open the arm up a little bit, if you took the factory one that you have, the Fox body one, the factory one, and you took the armature out of both of these. This is a 65 millimeter throttle body. This is like a cheap budget upgrade. You have to switch these two, switch this arm. Got to open it up for the blade, but it fits just fine. Your factory Fox body TPS will go right on it. You just turn this tube, put your IAC valve on, put it on. Pretty, it sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. I mean, if you mechanically inclined at all, it's pretty, there's videos out there how to. T-Moss has a good write-up on this. If you guys look up T-Moss, I think his very useful info.com. There's a couple of websites out there you need to familiarize yourself with. It's on Corral. I mean, there's write-ups all over the place, but this is the one you would want. You would want the 96, 97, early 98 model. But that's a good one, Bob. Thanks for reminding me. Now, you start getting into the later model ones, you start getting the TPS is quite a bit different, and it doesn't really have, like 9901 doesn't have the return tube, and it's just a little bit different. But the 96, 97, early 98 throttle body mod, 65 millimeter, because the factory one is 55 and 60. So it's definitely worth that shit. Easy, cheesy, and peasy. Something like that. The hell oh. So give me a 10th one. Who's got the 10th one? I've seen the Volvo electrical power steering pump used in LS. I think you can use it in just about anything. It's not just Fox body, but I've just seen people put them in there. You know what I mean? So rear gears, that's not under the hood, Jimmer. Give me a 10th one. Trying to think. I don't have a list to go through, so I don't think they had a radiator that was a drop in. I don't remember ever recall like an aluminum. Yes, there you go. Shit. How did I forget that one? Broken tool coming through for me, bro. Good job. 3G. That's a big one, dude. Good job. I thought I had addressed that earlier. 3G alternator. Now, I can tell you at this point, if you're starting to think about putting a Taurus fan or a Contour fan or any sort of upgraded fuel pump, I'm going to talk about the 3G and I'm going to kind of wire it in with the fuel pump and actually the rails that we were talking about. So where does this actually make sense at is if you're going to like boost your Fox body stock bottom end shit and you're going to stay with your stock rails and you're going to upgrade your fuel pump. One of the very first mods that you should do when you start thinking about putting aftermarket fans, aftermarket fuel pumps, just aftermarket shit on your Fox body is a 3G alternator upgrade. Now, you can find them in a boneyard. I'm pretty sure 9495 SN has a large case, but it's got the proper clocking to where, once again, SN95. I think the one that I use is like just a, Duralass Gold or whatever. You know what I mean? They work pretty good, but you can get them in the boneyard pretty cheap. There's a lot of 3G alternators out there to be had. Definitely want to upgrade. Now, you don't only want to upgrade that. You want to put that in kind of first before you start messing around with your fuel pump. Because you definitely, when you go to put a fuel pump in to into a Fox body, you're going to want to upgrade its wiring. And it's going to need to be, it's going to need more power to begin with. So you're going to want to run a 10 gauge to the back, run a relay setup. I did a whole video on how to modify your wiring harnesses to give you more power to your Aeromotive 340, even your 255. If your pump's not running at 18, if your pump's not running over at its limit where it makes the most, like if it's running on half of the power because the wires can't give it, and there's too much resistance in it, then it's only going to pump. So a 340 would pump like 200. Some people think they could just drop a pump in there and it's going to pump more fuel. We got to feed it more power. That's where the whole booster pump came in years ago. If you guys remember that. All it did was it boosts the signal. It gave the pump more power to run efficiently. just doing the mod that we did on the channel just makes sense, because it's just, you're going to get more power to the pump to get able to feed it more fuel. And if you got bigger fuel rails, that was a cheap budget upgrade that you found here on Neo's freaking live stream, you're already set to make 500 and not have to worry about emptying your rails and shit. But this all works with the 3G alternator, because you can see how all these budget mods would come together. And this is kind of the stuff that I still use in my cars to date. I don't have fancy all, top tier shit going on in my cars. I mean, hell, I got a $30 coil I've had on my white car for about 6 years now, racing with it. I don't care. It works. It is what it is. So 3G alternator, probably one of the best mods on that list. Good job, Broken Tool. What's up, Gary? It's good to see you. Casual Customs in the house. Go check him out on his YouTube channel. Same with Broken Tool. Broken Tool Garage. Who else we got in here that's messes with some YouTube? So that's about, I mean, there's more to be had there, guys. I mean, budget there on the channel, we do some, we try to do some fast car shit. We try to do some, out of the box shit with the 363 and a 408. You guys see us push the 408. I mean, that's a junkyard block. And, if you can get the 351 Windsor, if you're at the position where you're building a car and it's a roller, whatever, it's a project car. You don't really have a good motor yet. The two things you should be looking for at a junkyard or even on Facebook Marketplace is a GT40 302 motor, which just get the whole damn motor, because it's a good motor, the whole damn motor. If you can't find that, or you find that and a 351 Windsor, definitely want to get them both. 351, especially if it's a roller. Now, guys, I talk roller, non-roller. It doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. It'll save you a little bit of money if you do have a roller. It's a little more easier to convert over. The roller 94, 95, 96, 97 came in Broncos and trucks. Unfortunately, it didn't really come in any passenger vehicles that I know of. Coming out, quite a few vans. Kind of a pain in the ass to pull out of the cars. But you could take the heads and the intake and everything, and you could strip that short block down to short block, which I'm going to do a video on that one that's sitting back in the corner that's still fully loaded. And you could put GT40 heads on it. You could put entry-level aluminum heads on it. You could put a carb intake. You could put an EFI intake on there. And that 351 could be your swap. And it's got the hyper-eutectic pistons in it, much like the 93, 94, 95s had. Plus, the roller only 351, 94 and up had the TE cam, which is the truck cam that came in the Explorer. And if you guys know, 422, 448 lift, not a bad factory camshaft, to be honest with you. So, will you be attending the Ford Swap Meet in Columbus? Possibly will be attending. And thank you for all the yes. I mean, everything we do here on the channel, I've either done a video about or put them on my cars. Guys, I don't bullshit, bro. You know what I mean? The Explorer cam with 1.7 rockers, that's a great combo. Like a stock bottom end Explorer cam. I mean, we got budget with this shit years ago, guys. My black GT, when we first started boosting it, it was all budget. Like, I didn't have the money to be, I did. I had the white car at the time too, which had the 363 in it at the time years ago. But like, it was just, that's where it all kind of started. We went a little bit nuts with it. I got an on 3 kit secondhand for like $1,000. I don't know. It's from a friend of mine, he's kind of a friend of mine. It was used kit, man. I got it for $1,000. Then he ended up selling me his transmission for like $1,000, which was like a 3550, because I knew I was going to break the T5. And that, we put an on 3 turbo kit in a black car back in 2007 when on 3 was first coming on the scene, and stock long block it already had an Explorer intake on it when I bought the car, so it had already had that conversion. I think we made like 425 horsepower to the wheels. Went out, ran in like an 1160, like off trailer. 3,500-pound car, full weight, full interior. It's still that way now. You guys know how much it weighs. This shit is my black car is heavy, bro. My white car is 3,000 pounds. My black car is like 3,450. My coupe is going to be like 2,400. It's going to be extremely light. But the point I'm trying to make is, everything I did to that black car at the beginning of the channel was no bullshit. It was GT40 heads. We ended up upgrading the GT40 heads with the springs, which the 2500 100 trick flows, which is like a drop-in kit set. We ended up eventually going to a set of crane rocker. I guess, I was real adamant about keeping this shit forward, like production. Crane made Cobra rockers, but they were put on a production motor. So I kind of cheated with those a little bit, but I didn't. It's the same rockers that we have on my dad's car. So with a stock bottom end 302 and GT40 heads with new springs and these crane rockers, which I have over here in the bag, you can see the number on them. It's kind of hard to. Trying to get the camera to focus in on it. Whatever. Anyway, it's an F3 number. F3ZE, 6529. It was production. And he was just talking about putting 1.7 rockers on an Explorer cam. It'd be about the same thing. So it's good shit, man. Junkyard stuff. We've been doing junkyard stuff on our channel, and it's probably one of the funnest things to do here on the channel. And obviously, we're on to the next era here with the Coyote. Being $300, I don't know that motor. That motor doesn't owe me shit. What are we going to do with it? I don't know. It was $300. I don't know. You know what I mean? So, I know we got to do the front accessories or whatever, and we got to do the headers and Mustang cams and whatever. We've considered the fact of just running the shit the way it is. People say, well, you can make like 650, 700 wheel on the motor before the sleeves start to give up or the rods start to give up. But that's not really where we want to go with the coupe, because we can do that with our current setup as it is. So, not real sure. But 351 Windsor, guys. This block back here. Oh, that's the 387. I take it back. The 351 Windsor with the 408. We boosted that motor twice. That motor owes me nothing. And we just did a breakdown of that motor in one of our recent videos, and pretty happy with the way it performed the last 3.5 years. So we're gonna keep doing what we do. We're gonna double pin the camshaft and be done with it. It's gonna be good times. So, anyways, that's about all I got for the junkyard stuff, guys. If you guys want to, we're gonna continue talking about this, because we're gonna go through this again. I think it's build season. I think it's time. And I know that it's build season a little bit different in the South and Midwest. I understand that you guys don't get, your tracks stay open most of that year, if I'm not mistaken. So, but for us here in Ohio, here on the channel, build season starts in mid-November, it goes till like March or April, and when the snow melts, unfortunately. But we're going to be doing some cool shit here on the channel. Any Holly? No, not yet. We're actually nut bolt checking the white car right now. The dipstick kept pushing out. Now, when I say it kept pushing out, it's because I got an aftermarket one that just has the stupid little O-ring. It's not a locking oil dipstick, and it should be. Like the factory one kind of clips into place. So you need to run a lot of boost to get the blow itself, blow out of the tube. But the aftermarket, the nice aftermarket one I got, it's the little O-ring gets hot or whatever and just starts to come up. So, it does spray a little bit of oil. So we gotta clean the side of the block. We gotta clean the oil a little bit, and we're gonna put a Terminator X on the white car. We're not gonna touch the white car right now. If anything, the white car would get the 408 again, which is pretty badass. But do you think it would be worth cutting out a mild steel cage for a chrome moly cage? No. Here's the thing about cutting a cage out. I'm gonna tell you right now, Troy. Your car's already been used on that cage. If you cut the tension out of that cage, it may tweak the car. cut one bar, one main support bar, and a whole Carl tweak. Would you be interested in my 351 GT40 lower intake? Absolutely. That's actually the video that we're about to do here on the channel this week. Where the 387's behind us. If you guys don't know what this is, I know you guys do, but this is probably one of my most budget builds that we've done here on the channel. I think it's going to be pretty badass. This is my 387. This was consisted of, and if you don't, could you get a 387 crank out of the junkyard? You could, but you're talking about a 400 modified crank, which you're probably not going to find that. It'd be hard to find that. But if you did, you're going to pay a lot of machine work. Better just to buy the 385 crank. So anyways, 387 stroker. It's here on the channel. This is going in the black car very soon. We're going to put the motor mounts on and just drop it in. We decided at this point we couldn't find a good budget intake because they don't make a good budget intake for the 351. It's not like the 302 where we can just stick an Explorer one on there or find somebody that's got like a Cobra or tubular or whatever, or even a carbureted one. The 302 has a lot more options for the intake than a 351 does as far as aftermarket or, performance. Your next, to get a GT40 lower on a 351, you're looking, they're like $500, $600, $700. I think that's what people are asking for them. And they make a cast iron version of it. There's like a marine version of it or some shit, but I ain't putting that on there. So we was talking to Anderson Ford Motorsports this past weekend, and we may consider putting a like an EFI Spider intake setup on my 408. But this is probably one of the most budget things that I've done here on the channel, being that, and I did it in collaboration with Dave at the machine shop. It's basically a $300 steel crank, 385 stroke. It's the stock 351 Windsor block with a stock 351 rods that came with it. And then we just we mated up the rods to the forged 302 pistons that were 8792. And we just put the shit together. We had to balance it through the balancer because of the, it's 28 ounces, 351. But we didn't have a counterweight to take any weight out of. In the front, the very front counterweight was missing. It is on the other side of the crankshaft. So the only other way to take the weight out was to take it at the balancer, which you can see the 3 holes here. So basically this balancer's forever with this motor, if that makes any sense. So am I froze up here, or am I just talking too much? So like I don't understand why that lags so much. Here we go. Build season, get motivation to put your shit on the get motivated to KSY. Hell yeah, brother. Get your shit off the jack stands. Ain't gonna be no different. Listen, I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time with this 387. We're gonna get it in the damn car. I already told you what we're doing. I got 3 or 4 sets of aftermarket headers. We're gonna get a set to fit. You guys wanted to see the shit fire up NA? You're gonna see it fire up NA. That's what we're gonna do. I got 3 or 4 different H pipes that we can hack up so I can have the tubes at least come down. Won't be open header. I'm not trying to put long tubes on right now, but we're gonna come down for the 2 O2 sensors because we're gonna still stay with like a stock A9L with the 387. I don't give a shit. We'll get it running. We'll get it fired up. We'll break it in on the dyno. Not that you're supposed to, but whatever. I don't have a whole lot of money in this motor to begin with, outside of the machine work was donated to the channel so we could show you guys that it works, and we'll see how much it makes. I mean, it is what it is. TrickFlow won't tell anyone when they're producing 351 intakes. Yeah, I know. I've talked to them quite a bit. That's a good idea. We used so Kyle Dennis actually ended up using or doing a 387 here on the channel as well, or not on my channel, but on his. So he did pretty good. He said with the removable weight, so you need a balancer. When you need a balancer, we just move the weight around. Nice. What camshafts in the 387? We put an Anderson B31 cam in it because that's what we had on the shelf. This whole motor was put together with extra parts that we had laying around that we either sell, swap meet, or use. And B31 cam isn't a bad cam. It's a decent boosted cam. As you know, we're gonna put a turbo on this. It's going back in the black car, and it's gonna be turboed. But we're gonna make NA power first just to see what it makes. So anyways, that's probably the most budget one we got going on. We got a lot of people that think it's gonna fail. I guess we'll find out, won't we? We have Trick Flow 170s. They were like $700, dude. I mean, it is what it is. I was trying to get a budget option for the intake to keep it super budget, but I mean, super budget within realistic range. If that makes any sense. Everybody knows that 351 wins are, it's not like an LS where they already have their heads, or a Coyote where they already have their cylinder heads. That's where they kind of, they suffer. They don't really have, D1 OE heads aren't bad, but I mean, they're cast iron and they're 45 years old or whatever. But we got these old Trick Flow 170s. These are actually from Anderson Ford Motorsport too, the old school OG shit. We did a bunch of work to them, put a bunch of good springs on them, check the valves or whatever. So we do have some money in the heads. Guess we could have just bought them new. We actually checked piston to valve on in one of our videos. I'm actually going to double back on the piston to valve video, because I'm just going to make like a 2 or 3 minute video about piston to valve and why Trick Flow twistwood wedge heads were so proprietary for stock bottom end stuff. Trick Flow will tell you the same thing. Twisted wedge heads are just wonderful for stock bottom end, valve clearance. So I'll show you what we did. Expectations horsepower wise, I'm not really sure. I know it's going to be, well, since we run E85, we're going to have 80-pound injectors in it. We're going to tune it up a little bit. We're not going to fire it up just like without tuning it at all. But I would hope to see it would make, maybe 400 wheel. I don't think that would be too much to ask from it. I mean, we're talking about a Mustang dyno, so it's probably going to be greedy to begin with. I think the most we're going to try to push out of it's like 650, 700, if that. I mean, I know the rods, we bent rods in our original 357 stock bottom end at like 725. It was just too much boost. We put 18 pounds of boost to stock Windsor rods. They didn't like it. So we ended up getting these heads from a buddy of ours for $700, and we got about 300 rebuilt, 350 in new valve springs, and we already had the good retainers in them. Just a couple. It needed some valves. Needed a little bit of work done to them, but they're fresh and ready to go. But anyway, yeah, I don't really know what to do with the Coyote, but this has got to get down. That's what's next on the channel, is to get the black car running. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time with the black car as far as the 387 build, because it's pretty much put the damn motor in, get it built, get it set up, put the drive line in, and take it to the dyno. You see what I mean? Get it fired up. So it shouldn't take long. I mean, the car used to have a 9.5 deck 351 Windsor in it to begin with. So I got all the bracketry and shit ready to go. What I gotta do is just get it in the car and get it done. But anyway, I hope this shit helps you guys out. Junkyard stuff. I know some of you guys don't have an opportunity to go to a junkyard at all. Just trying to answer some of these questions. Any idea where I can get a backup light pigtail? Backup light pigtail. Backup light. You mean like the reverse light? Is that, you mean at the transmission or in the backpack? Realistically, what would it cost to build a 302 NA making 450? First of all, an NA 302 NA will not make 450 unless it's boosted or nitrous. Not going to happen. 302 NA might make 300. 306 freshly rebuild, which isn't much different. maybe 320 on a dyno jet. I don't know. I mean, I don't think dyno jets and Mustang dynos really are any different anymore anyways with the software upgrades. So I did a video on that and there wasn't really much of a difference at all. Realistically, a 302 NA making 450 to the crank, you know, you're still not going to get it. You know, they have those builds out there. I think the most we've ever seen, wasn't it 400? Didn't they have this big build sheet going on? I think wasn't like Motor Trend or something, but it was somebody did a 400 naturally aspirated 302, and that was to the crank, and they did a bunch of machine work to make it work or something like that. Yeah, man, I appreciate you, Scott. Where the rear light bulbs into the okay. Not real sure, bro. I know Rock Auto and NPD's got some pretty good stuff. But anyway. So what else were we going to talk about? So what do we got? I was going to show you guys. I'll save it for another day. Show you guys the footage from the race. But anyways, we went to Delaware this past week, 2 weeks, past weekend, or whatever, 2 weekends ago. At this point, got us a pretty cool. Got us a big shot. The first state no prep gave us this really cool laser cut trophy. I think that looks really nice. I didn't even know I was getting a trophy. It's really nice. That was a very well organized event. Pretty cool. Needed that. I needed to be able to compete and go some rounds at the end of the season. Yeah, I was gonna say Holdner did about 420 with a dual plane and AFR heads. That's to the crank, so that's pretty good. I mean, it's got to be a pretty radical build to get that done, for sure. So, big shout to Rich, for sure. I was there, saw you doing your track walk before the race. Cool, man. I've met a lot of really cool people, man. We had a good time. We had a really good time. I should mount it? Nah. Yeah, that actually is a small cam. 212, 216. That's not very much duration. Not at all. So, any questions about the junkyard shit? What's going on in the channel? What's coming up on the channel? I want to talk about something before you guys go. We got to talk about something. Something important coming up. We have so this week we're going to be talking about the intake with the 387. There's one more thing we got to do with something that's on it before it goes down in the car. But honestly, we're going to make a push. We're going to make a bunch of content on it, like back to back to back to back. So be ready for that. As soon as we get started and fired up on this 387 and it starts going in the black car, we're not going to stop until we pretty much got the car fired up. Just so you guys know, that's coming this week. I've been talking shit about it for a year. It's time to get the motor in the car. So let's go get this thing done. I got to be able to have it done within a reasonable time period because I got to get on the coupe. If I'm going to have any sort of chance of racing that coupe early, mid 2024, I got a lot of work to do on it. And there's going to be a lot of videos on that too, which is the reason why I really don't want to touch the white car at all, because it runs, it goes laps. There's some things we got to tweak on it and tune on it to make it a little bit better. But to be honest with you, I don't need a third car to be working on right now. I want to get my black cars shit off the jack stands. Like I keep telling you guys, what sort of example am I showing you guys having a car over there with no motor? And I know you guys are anxious to see what the hell this thing does, whether we blow it up or we do good on it, whatever. So I'm kind of talking shit to myself. I need to get my own shit off the jack stands. And it's kind of the stuff that I could, I'm always trying to set an example, not only for, the people in my life, but my children and my business. And it's just, it's no different than what I bring to the channel. I'm always talking shit about, it all starts with wrenching with one bolt. It all starts with being motivated and disciplined enough to go out in the garage, make a list, and just make your shit work. You know what I mean? Just put your tools to work. And that goes for anything in your life. But for me, I'm kind of getting fed up with myself because I need to get this 387 done. It's in my way. The car isn't mobile, and it's now wintertime. and I don't have it done. So I'm a little irritated with myself as well. So what's up, Roy? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, I yeah, Rich knows more about motors than like anybody I've ever known. Super good dude. Very nice. He shares a lot of information, and it's very much appreciated. But there's one guy. There's a guy on one of the forums that made 375 to the wheels using Trickflow 190s, big cam and exhaust on a stock bottom N302. Nice. It's kind of, like I said, it's not very something you have to really work hard to get to accomplish in a feat like that. You know what I mean? Whereas it just makes more sense to make power on something else or in a different way. You know what I mean? There's a lot of machine work and there's a lot of little tweaking. There's a lot of parts that need to be bought to achieve something like that. And that's purposely built, and that's really cool. Would you do some work on a Mustang I need someone with experience and skills that you have. To be honest with you guys, we're not really there as a shop to where, we do take in customers, but we got it at the point now to where I've been partnered with my dyno shop and the speed shop with Dave Dahlk that does a lot of the tuning and engine building here on the channel. So that's kind of where we're at. Whatever, taking customers like one at a time, depending on what their build sheet looks like. And I know Dave does all the engine work. He does a lot of the transmission. He does all this stuff. He does all the tuning, the Terminator stuff, the stock, EFI stuff. I mean, we've been doing that stuff here on the channel. That's kind of where we're at. He's a super coupe guy, but he's kind of transitioning a lot into the Fox body and the Coyote stuff. Like, this is our first Coyote motor. We're considering tearing it down so we can learn the platform a little more like we do the 351. So it's definitely something to consider when we, as we move forward. So there's also plenty of good shops out there and people that know what they're doing as well that could very much help you. Anyways, guys, we've been on for about an hour and 31 minutes. I'm going to take a couple more questions real quick. And not drop the motor on the ground. I know y'all want a banner, so let's go ahead and do this right now. Give me a hashtag Tremec. Shop swag. This is my last Tremec. I try to give away a banner every week or every live stream. We're getting down to the last couples, so it's going to be slim. I got to get a hold of some more of these. I just get a hold of some of my sponsors and get some of them. Which brings me to my next point about getting a hold of my sponsors that help us here on the channel. We got Fox Days of Christmas coming up. I want to talk about that real quick. Then I'm going to go. Hashtag Tremec, boys. You're more than welcome, Raul. That's what I'm here for, man. I appreciate you being on the channel, guys. I appreciate you, Raul, being a member. If you guys, we actually had 5 memberships gifted by Handler Motorsports. So big shout out to Handler Motorsports for gifting the memberships to the channel. All that shit stays in the channel, guys. The guys in the green are my members here on the channel. It's the join button below. Want to check out the join button before we head out. You want to join the channel? It's cool. If not, I just appreciate you being here anyway. So we'll give this. There is a. I want to say Fox Body John. If you're here in the channel, or you get a hold of me again. I think I have one that's due to be shipped out that I don't have. So Do you recommend ARP studs or just regular bolts? Always. Wait a minute. Main caps? Main caps would be fine with the bolts, depending on how much power you're trying to make. But to be honest with you, if you're trying to make some good power on a block, you're not real sure if it's going to last or not. At least the girdle will help keep the load of the crank kind of even between all the main caps. So at that point, I would put studs in for sure. Looking to boost my car. Looking to boost my car. I was to make 460 to the wheel. Do you think a 3550 Tremec will hold the power? I'm going to be honest with you. The 3550 guys, the TKOs. I'm not knocking the TKO 500. I'm not knocking the 600. I'm not knocking the 3550 because I used them here on the channel for years. They're not really making parts for them much anymore. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, you're going to start breaking clusters. If you break, hang on. You start breaking clusters, you start breaking third gears. You're not going to get that stuff. And then you're going to not really find anybody that's going to fix it. TKX was pretty much the end to TKO. And I say that in all due respect to the TKO that's worked with us for many, many years. If you got a good 3550 TKO 500, 600, whatever, which does not mean horsepower rating, by the way. TKO 500, 600 are rated at the same. TKO 500 was just the version before the 600. That's all that meant. But anyways, TKX would be the next step up for sure. TKX can handle 700, which we've done here on the channel. Once again, so 3550, will it handle 700? Well, maybe. Not really. But we'll figure it out. Anyway, is that all we got for hashtag Tremec? There's only like 10 of you. It's not going to be very hard. All right. I don't know if I'm lagging or something. Anyways, what we were going to talk about is the Fox Days of Christmas. There we go. Fox Days of Christmas is coming up. You guys don't know what I'm talking about. I usually get with some of my sponsors, and we are going to get some stuff that we can give away for Christmas. We've done it the last couple years. We kind of went right off the rails last year. I think the next live stream, we're going to start talking. I mean, it's Thanksgiving weekend next weekend. So we will be live streaming, and we need to talk about Fox Days of Christmas. And I got to start getting some stuff in. We're not going to do a crazy. I think we gave away 34 gifts last year, and it was like $5,000 worth of shit. Guys, that was just a logistical nightmare. I'm going to apologize to you right off the bat. We're not going to give away that much stuff. However, we're going to aim for about 10 items to give away. They're going to be pretty significant, and we're going to do it in the same format that we did last year. I'm going to do it with my family, and we're going to have a Christmas theme to it. I think you guys are going to have a good time with it. Be some cool stuff to give back to the Fox Body community. Last year we gave I think the best thing we gave was a $700 hydraulic clutch pedal assembly. But we had a lot of really good stuff in the middle of all that stuff. Big shout out to Handler Motorsports for helping me coordinate that. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and skip through here. In the winner of the is where it the Grinch making an appearance again this year. That's correct. He is. And the winner is David Smith. David Smith, I'm going to give you an email. It's pretty easy. It's Neomustangs at Hotmail. That's my email, bro. And get a hold of me, David Smith. Email me, and I will send this out to you. I hope you are domestic U.S. That would definitely help out. I mean, I think the last one I sent to Canada, like I was talking about the other week, was like $36. It was crazy. Yes, Grinch is going to make an appearance for show. Y'all like that shit? It was good times. Good times. Anyways, like I said, we got some 387 stuff coming up. It's the build season, so we need to get, that stuff settled and finished for sure. Tired of looking at this motor. It's time for it to get put down in the car and just get finished. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm still lagging here. All right. Fox Days at Christmas is coming up. We got to talk about that. By the time you see me next week, we'll probably have we'll probably be talking about the 387 again. And we're back. I was wondering why the chat was just lagging, man. I was just like, what the hell's going on, bro? Yeah, we're good. Anyways, Hanlon, I do appreciate the I think you gifted like 5 memberships. So I don't know if any of you guys scooped that stuff up. That was pretty cool of you, man. I appreciate that today. I want to say a special happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Guys, it's all about, when I'm sitting here on the channel, I'm always talking about, time, money, and family. We're always trying to, preach getting your shit off the jack stands. Guys, I appreciate everybody for, what they do for us here on the channel, by just watching the shit, just being part of it or whatever, Anyway, what was the question? Okay, so he had a question. Anyone run nitrous, wet or dry, possibly with no tuning? 306 E7 trick flow heads. Yeah, just run a 100 shot, you'll be fine. Go with a wet kit 100 shot, you'll be fine. But anyways, I'm always talking about getting your shit off the jack stand. So, stay motivated. Happy Thanksgiving. Spend some time with your family. Make a plan if it's your build season here, like it is here in Ohio. And, make a plan. Make your shit work. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Got a lot of good stuff coming up on the channel. I don't really want to stop racing. I'm not going to lie to you. It sucks. Like I just put that 363 down in that white car, and it's just, it's doing well. And we haven't even really tapped the potential, but we got Holly coming up. We need to put a Holly in the damn thing. And that's just really kind of just installing it. Mechanically, the car's fine. I mean, I think the car will make more power. We're leaving a lot on the table by not putting the Holly in. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you watching. Look forward to the videos this week. If you're watching this afterwards, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Check out the podcast because we're going to turn it into a podcast. I appreciate everybody for watching tonight. Thanks for stopping in. Have a great night. I hope I helped somebody tonight with that stuff. You know what I mean? Got any questions about the junkyard shit? Just hit me up. Let me know. Outside of that, be safe with the Thanksgiving. I'll see you guys next week on the channel. Have a good evening.